Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Muskegon Rising. I'm your host, Maike, and today I'm here with Troy Wasserman from Core Development, and we're here to talk about their new development at the Lumberman's Vault. Welcome, Troy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. I spent a little time with you at that building before it was developed, and now that you've got it fully developed, we were there a couple weeks ago. What an amazing facility.
Yeah, it's a gem in Muskegon, I think.
It certainly is. So talk to us a little bit about Core Development and the impact that you're having on Muskegon and what initially drew you to develop this in this community.
Well, we're local guys. I mean, we walk these streets. We've built our businesses here. We care about the community, and this is another stepping stone that can help propel Muskegon forward even further.
It certainly is. And so talk to us a little bit about the first floor specifically in this development. Tell us what's down there and why it's really unique to Muskegon.
Well, the first floor consists of 5 different restaurants. 5 unique restaurants, I would say. We have one that's a Mexican restaurant called Casa Cabos. We have one that's kind of like an Asian fusion. It's called Up Leaf Cafe. And we have one that just opened just 2 weeks ago called The Foundry. They're more like American bar food. And then we have, we have The Press, which is kind of like they do coffee, teas. They have a huge selection of both. They do panini sandwiches. They're kind of a unique group. And then we have Lakeisha with her soul-filled eatery.
Wow. Such unique foods. And then what baffled me, we sat there, we had a beer, but the bar is really special.
Isn't it awesome? Yeah. Yeah, Liquid Assets is the bar, and it's a special place. It's unique, I think, versus most other places in Muskegon. It complements all those other individuals there quite well.
And I was really happy with the day that I got to meet you there. It was the teaser, 78 degrees. I came in and you opened up the doors right to the sidewalk.
That was the first time that the doors were open since we've been in business that we've had it. Yeah, we had some leaves blowing in at first, but once we got past the wind settling down, I think that's going to be really cool because they do the doors open all the way up on each side of the bar, and they'll go out to the sidewalk that will service the community out there too.
So that'll be a common trend all summer long in Muskegon.
Yes, it will. Yep, and a couple of the bays have walk-up windows too. The Press does, and so does Lakeisha's space for her soul-filled eatery. So you'll be able to walk up from outside, and if you're just passing by and grab a coffee or a tea or something. Some comfort food. Amazing.
So the second floor, also you've got space up there. Why don't you talk a little bit about some public space up there and what other businesses are up there?
Second floor we have, it's kind of like smaller businesses. We have a hair salon. Hers isn't quite so small. She took 2 of the bays and we took a wall out and put her in there. We have a high-end tattoo parlor. We have a photographer. And we have an event space up there that's for like 35 people or less. It kind of operates through the bar. You could have, if you wanted a higher end event, you could have your own personal bartender that's up there for the evening. There's a big screen TV up there. It's a great meeting spot. It overlooks the bar and the food area down below. So it's really neat, looking down from up there. You kind of overlook everything else. So yeah, and we have a couple of empty bays up there, but we've been very selective about what they're going to be. One of them we have taped off right now. We've been kicking the idea of doing golf simulators up there and maybe some like arcade games and kind of like a lounge area. Something to hold people there and more activity in downtown.
Great. Not that I need a haircut, but if you want a haircut, you can take your drink up there.
You can. Yeah. And that's unique too. Because we are able to, with our licensing, have it in that event space up there, and then the salon can have people in there. I think the only one that can't is the tattoo parlor because of some state laws that they can't have beverages inside of their places. Yeah, that's correct.
So this is a pretty unique, almost historic building in Muskegon. And it was pretty much a shell when you took it over. How did you choose the building? What was your process behind that? And then you have a couple other buildings downtown that are older. How do you try to preserve some of that past and still make it so modern and cool?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because it's not cut and dry. I mean, like, you'd love to preserve all of it, but you start digging into it, and there's certain things that dictate what you can and can't do. Codes, your contractor sitting there telling you that you can't do this. I mean, we had a few of those, instances, like we got some things done, but yeah, to be able to hold the old, nostalgic items that are in there and then make it modern as you're moving forward, it's fun, but it's challenging. But I think we did it. I mean, we kept as much as we could from the bank, as much of the history that's there as we could, and then we put a modern spin on it that when you walk in there, it's a pretty wow factor, I think.
It is completely different. I couldn't believe the transition from when we walked through it probably 3 or 4 years ago to what you've done now. Who was your contractor for that project?
Our contractor was Muskegon Quality Builders, Tom Grimm. He's been amazing on this project. I mean, he's been there every day. Every day. I mean, I can text him or call him at any time. He either answers or he'll shoot you a message real quick that say, I'll call you in 5 minutes or I'll be right there or whatever it might be. His group's amazing.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think his dad actually helped build the building when it was originally constructed.
That's correct. When we first met with him, he was digging through all of our old black and white archive photos from that building. And he's like, my dad built this place, and I'm sure there's some photos of him in there. And digging. I don't know if he ever actually did find a photo of his dad in there or not, but we do have a lot of those old archives in there that are pretty neat to watch that.
That's really cool. Just the history of that building and what it's been and what it's going to be, and it's really exciting to watch it kick off. So talk a little bit about the benefits to the community in Lumberman's Vault and where you see its biggest impact.
I think the benefits that are there are we're helping cement kind of what the movement right now of what's going on in Muskegon. There's a lot of great projects that are happening currently. There's some other projects on the way, and this one, kind of, it's not on Western Avenue. It's off by itself, and it's different. I think it's getting people more engaged that you don't have to just look at the main thoroughways through town to do a neat development. I mean, it happened down at 794 Pine when we filled that one up pretty easily. And when we did it, I remember people saying, nobody goes down there. That's kind of like off the beaten path, and it worked. And this one seems to be as well. So I think it's kind of helps glue everything that's going on in this town together a little bit.
I love that you mentioned 794 Pine Street because I don't know that everybody realizes that is a core development project. You have another project at the end of Western on the far end of our downtown, and then this. And so you're really trying to build our downtown out from just Western Avenue.
Yeah, I don't know if it was purposely done that way. It just kind of fell in our lap that way. I mean, we weren't like necessarily looking for these buildings. It was the one down on the other end of the building. We all got tired of driving by it every day and seeing it covered up with, plywood that was painted yellow that had been up there for 20 years, and it was just an eyesore, and it was kind of like the entrance to town. And we kind of finally one day said, we should do something about this, and we did. So that one turned out pretty neat too.
What's really impressive, and you said it early, it's local people doing these projects. Your partners are local. They care about Muskegon and truly investing and putting their money here when in some cases you could go other places.
Sure. Yeah, you absolutely could. It's same thing. I don't know that we're trying to help the community for sure because, like I said before, we do walk these streets every day. We know all the people that walk them with us, and we want to make sure that the future's, we're on the upward swing. We haven't really looked at any projects anywhere else. Not to say that we won't, but right now we're kind of like, let's concentrate in our area that seems to be working, and it seems to be going all right.
Amazing. So core development, obviously built in our community. What other organizations are you affiliated with, or what other initiatives do you have going on that you can share with us?
Core development is actually a little bit newer. So, we have core development, we have core real estate. So core development in itself is more kind of a standalone, where it's harder for us probably to donate things to events and things like that. But we have made space available for like the chamber event that we had. And now that we have this space upstairs, we'll be able to offer some programs up there. I guess our biggest thing through the community is that just our involvement with as many things as we can to help keep trudging forward.
You're all there trying to make our community better. So a lot of your development is in real estate, which is always cool because you can see that. So is there anything in the future that you can tell us about right now that you're looking at doing in Muskegon?
I think right now we're concentrating on Lumberman's vault building because, as you know, it's a big footprint. We have that whole block pretty much, and there's a lot of excess property that goes with it. So we have some future plans drawn in for that. We're not sure exactly what they're going to be yet. I think we were going to kind of start doing them, and now we're kind of saying, let's let this stabilize. Let's fill this completely up. And then as time goes on, let's look at the next phases of this property. Other than that, that's probably it right now.
So you've got 3/4 of a block essentially there outside of the church that's on the corner.
Correct.
That you all own as part of this project.
Yes, that's right. Yep, that big courtyard that's out there, the old drive-through that's out there. Those are some of the parts that we're looking at of like, what can we do with this? Do we need to take the old drive-through down? Do we need to keep it up? How can we utilize it? That's kind of been a back and forth conversation amongst our group and our contractor with his input as well.
Absolutely. I joke around a lot, whether it's a budget or architectural drawings, they're your best guess and they're guaranteed to be wrong, but they at least give you a vision. And I think that's what you're walking through right now. What's our vision of this property and
right.
Longer term, how can we make it viable?
Yeah, absolutely.
What else has Core got going on? So you mentioned the real estate. You sell commercial properties. That's how we actually met my first week in Muskegon. You called about a parking lot downtown that I didn't even know that the college owned.
I did.
So is that how you do the real estate business? You kind of, cold call, warm call, and then what else is going on?
Not a lot of cold calling, I wouldn't say. Usually if it's somebody in the community, they know one of us, right? If it's outside, then we start a relationship with those people. But there's a lot of different parts to the real estate, and we do a lot of leasing, and then we also do selling. And then when we're looking at the development stuff, occasionally we'll buy something if we think it's right. So, yeah.
The housing market is something in Muskegon right now that I see that we have so many people who need housing.
Right.
So any eye on if that's going to lighten up at all and housing's going to become available? Or
from some of the different seminars that we've been to, it sounds like the housing market's probably going to stay quite strong in Muskegon. And I mean, we're still way behind, especially, other areas around us. It's probably more affordable still. I think that's tracking up, but there's definitely a need from all the studies that the city has done, and to get more workforce here. It's easier. There's so many more people working from home now, so if it's less money to live here, you can still work in Grand Rapids or Holland or even on the east side of the state and maybe travel a day a week or something, but you're grounded here, and what better place to live than Muskegon? I mean, we've got the most beautiful beaches and the best lake shore around, I think. Shh. Yeah, don't tell everybody that.
Don't tell everybody.
I know.
We want it to be busy,
yes.
But we don't want it to be too crowded.
Right.
Troy, thanks so much for coming on. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners about core development or any projects you might have?
Probably a parting note. I would just say that we're super excited to work with this community. It's for the future of Muskegon. It's for my kids, your kids, their kids. It's been unique, and it's a fun thing to be a part of for sure. I mean, I can, I've lived through a lot of it. I'm not super old, but most people know that my sister and I have the oldest business in Muskegon. So just looking at all the history of that, and then looking at the history, what will be history as we move forward, it's a big deal, and it's not to be taken lightly.
Absolutely. The way this community has evolved throughout the generations, and your team, 3 local investors, are driving that future in Muskegon. So thank you so much for your investment. Thank you for staying in Muskegon and making our community better.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time, and I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Troy. Thank you for listening to Muskegon Rising, a podcast supported by the Muskegon Rotary Club. If you think someone is doing something amazing in our community, please email us at muskegonrising@muskegonrotary.org.